All right. Well, hi everyone. We are back with Kat Minks from Adore Magazine. Kat, welcome back. Thanks again for being here. For our second segment today, we are going to talk all things COVID weddings, safety precautions, everything you need to know. So, Kat, I don't know, do you have any ideas starting out before we dive into the questions?
I think starting off, don't ignore your instinct to uh, really keep your guests as safe as possible. These are your friends and your family. And I think we just all want to promote that safety is key and keeping everybody well. And that's the whole idea behind offering these suggestions. They're not, of course, they're not hard and fast rules. You pick and choose what you follow according to your state or city's guidelines. But honestly, we as professionals, we just want everybody to be safe and well and stay healthy so that we can get through this quicker. And while weddings shift and are shifting and changing, that doesn't make them any less special.
Absolutely. So what are you seeing for mask trends? Are there trends around masks? Like what's a cool mask for the bride and groom to wear? Cuz I mean, you got to have something fun, right?
Right. Well, obviously, don't pick the paper mask for your wedding,
For
please.
bad bad choice.
That would be thumbs down. But absolutely have fun with it. I mean, I think people are just really wanting to make light as much as they can about everything involved with COVID surrounding weddings. And um, it almost pains people, I think, to even say the word COVID when it comes to weddings because it's just such a blah topic or subject. And so, how can we make it fun and make light of it? So, and make it beautiful too. There are lots of ways to make mask wearing beautiful. There's so many people that have picked up the art of mask making and so many designers that do it now too. And so a beautiful lace mask or satin mask with a lace detail. Um, don't, try to hot glue lace onto a satin mask or anything like that. Actually make it like part of your bridal accessory, just like how you would pick out your veil and your jewelry, pick out a beautiful piece of art to wear on your face during your reception or your dinner.
There
Um,
was a gal on, I can't remember if it was our page, Allie, or another page that actually ordered in matching lace to her dress and had her seamstress create this beautiful mask that matched her gown. And I just thought that was the coolest idea. What a way to make it, like you said, a statement piece that ties the whole look together and photographs so beautifully. I
mhm.
loved that. So
Right. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of flat lay photographs by photographers that include the bouquet, the shoe, the necklace, and the mask. Like it's just going
Absolutely.
to be the part of the wedding album. So like I said, make it beautiful, make it match. Like you can order swatches too or extra fabric of your tuxedo and your suit to make it look real nice instead of something that's just a black cotton or a white plain. Do something different, not like overly out of out of overly floral that doesn't match your theme or anything like that. Do something that really goes and is like a accent piece, like how you. So a friend of mine lives in LA, and she just went to Spago, and she had dinner, so they closed down the store. And one of the things that she photographed and was telling me about was that um, on the dinner table they had like a bag for each of the guests
Mm.
to put their mask in while they were eating,
Oh,
own personal bag. Now, I know that there have been lots of mask designers that have now created like zipper pouches for people. So that's another great like favor idea. But also having a bag at the place setting for somebody to set their mask in and then have access to it immediately when they're done, it reminds them, oh wait, I need to go put my mask back on for a safety thing. Because I think something that I've been hearing a lot about weddings in 2020 was that people would show up with the mask, and then after they had a couple drinks or had dinner, they wouldn't put it back on. And so this is if you do the bag in a nice, elegant way, or in a way that is presented to your guests so it's right in front of them, then that is a reminder, hey, put your mask back on.
Yeah, that's a great favor idea too. You could even go back to the monograms that we were talking about in the other segment and monogram that bag.
Absolutely.
That's so unique. I've never heard of that before. I really like that. It's really cool. On the topic of favors, what are some COVID friendly favors that you're seeing, whether it's literal COVID favors like masks or sanitizer, or just COVID safe favors?
So anything that comes like prepackaged, obviously if you are not handing them out physically, or if they don't have to be physically touched on the day to be put on the place setting or put out for your guests to take, that's much safer to do it that way. But obviously hand sanitizer, the bag, a personalized bag with a mask in it. Also, like we talked about, like a prepackaged food item with like some kind of emblem on the outside of it. Those types of things are all, safe. I think very, they're not wasteful kind of ideas. You want to be picking favors that are not wasteful, because another huge trend is eco-friendly, and how eco-friendly can we be. And so you want to be thinking about less waste, and that carries through to the whole wedding too, once you start with that piece of it.
For sure. So another question we had for you, there's this trend we've seen floating around in our group and on Pinterest of these colorful bracelets, right? And there's green means that they're open to hugging and dancing and not really having a personal bubble, and yellow means okay to, wave hello and talk, but still keeping a little bit of a distance, and red means, 6 feet, stay away. Allie and I personally aren't a super huge fan of this trend, just because it doesn't, at least we don't like the green part of this trend, I should say.
We are not huge on it. And I know we talked about this in a blog that we had about COVID safety too, is, do you really want to promote that green wristband? So I guess, what are your thoughts on that, or is there a better way to do it than that?
I think in general, if somebody is high risk, and they're close to you, and we're talking like the people that are pregnant, have people that you know of that are going through any sort of cancer therapies or have a extenuating risk factor to them, absolutely encouraging them, saying, we love you, but we just don't want you, we don't want to feel responsible if something were to happen. And really getting that through to your guests before the event, so that you don't have to do rubber bands. I know that a lot of people have their heart set on a larger wedding, and that is a way that they thought would be to get around it, or get around some restrictions. If they go farther out enough out of the city, and they do this wristband thing, then things will be safer. And I just think that even if people are choosing to put on a green wristband, you ultimately are responsible, because you are holding the event. And that's something too that we'll talk about when we get to contracts a little bit more. But absolutely, you take responsibility for being the host, I think, and try to do something that is smaller versus something large, so that you don't have to make choices like that and have your guests make choices like that. Because I think too, when people get in a group and they see like those kinds of choices, like, who wants to sit at the cool kids table with the people that are wearing the green wristband versus the people that are wearing the red wristband? I just think people, especially if they get a few drinks, and some of that stuff kind of goes out the window. So just try to stress to your guests beforehand, the ones that you know are um, at risk, that are saying, yeah, I'll come because they want to support you. Really reach out to them and say, is this really a good decision?
Yeah.
I love you, but,
Yeah.
and uh, handling that prior to the event versus at the event.
I
And
really like that idea. Like, don't put someone in a position where you know that they're going to be forced with the hard decision of like, do I want to come to this event and risk my health, or do I say no? Like, what do I do? So I think it's good to take it off of guests if you can, especially if you know they're in that high risk category.
So, something else we get asked about all the time in the group is what are some other ideas to do at the reception that isn't dancing, right? Because so many weddings, dancing is a huge part of the event, it's a huge part of the celebration at the reception. So, what are some COVID safe alternatives that couples could consider for their reception?
sure. Well, I know that for people that were really into doing the dollar dance, and I think that a lot of those traditions fell away naturally in the last couple of years, like the bouquet toss and the garter toss. And the dollar dance has slowly been dying out anyways, and it's been being supplemented with more games and more interactive pieces to an event. And so one of the things that uh, I really like, and that some games are doing a sort of game, is doing like a Q&A with the couple, does like has questions that they have to answer, and you play kind of like a newlywed game.
Oh,
And
that's
then if they both answer them right, then whoever wants to throw a dollar in the pot can, there can be like an MC or a designated bucket person that goes around and gets the collection for the bride or groom. That would be a really fun way to do it. Uh, so many people are so tech savvy now and creating their own websites, that doing something fun on your wedding website versus a dollar dance at the wedding might be another way to earn a little bit of extra cash for your honeymoon.
yeah. Are you seeing that more as like the couple like has an idea of a prize in mind where they're like bidding on it online, or did you have thoughts on what that might be to make it fun on the website?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen on Zola they have like the groom can pick things and the bride can pick things. Like you can do it separately, and so
Oh,
people can decide what they want to contribute to.
okay.
Um, but also just you can do like just a regular button on a wedding website. You can create like your own section, and then people can um, you can pick things that you are maybe saving up for your journey.
How about reception activities? Kind of piggybacking on top of this, I know we talked about dollar dance alternatives, but just flat out the DJ and dancing is such a big part of the reception, typically with weddings. So, what are some other things that you can think of or that you would recommend for couples to do to keep the night fun and interactive and still have that fun celebration element to it, right? But still keeping safe in that way?
I think maybe changing the tune of your music and whole like dancing, you know, I know some venues are allowing dancing, some are not, or were prior to our shutdown anyways. So I think that maybe choose being very selective about the music that you select for the reception part anyways, and having it not be so dance party music versus like chill, like just having a good time, having a few drinks, sipping cocktail type of music, like jazz, and um, not so upbeat that people are encouraged to mingle so much. If they want to do that afterwards, let them, kind of thing. But, and I'm not saying like have it be like a Debbie Downer, slow down, slow music type of evening, but having live music per se, probably when you're doing that genre is better than trying to have a DJ play some music. People probably won't stick around as much as if they would if there was like an actual entertainment factor of somebody actually performing. Minnesota music scene has so many great live musicians, like, and right now they really need, as is any event professional, they need that boost, but so do live musicians, and it's a great entertainment factor for your reception, as well as having like things that people can watch versus that are visually entertaining versus make in weddings previous we were all making the entertainment because we were dancing and partying and having fun. Now make it much more of a visual entertainment situation where you are seeing like a live painter. Wedding paintings have become very popular, so they have stations to go to and see different things. One of the weddings that we covered in Adore was a couple had a caricature artist that, but it wasn't like caricatures that in the way you think where they make your nose look big and everything. They did like cartoon black and white sketches where you like looked at it and you were like, wow, that's really cool. Like it was like an art piece that every guest got to take home, and it was just in black and white. So there are definitely those kind of artistic and artists that are ready and willing to offer their services for weddings right now, especially.
Yeah, excellent ideas for how we can kind of support our small businesses too and still have some kind of entertainment for our guests. That's fantastic. I think moving away from stuff during the reception, but more so like what can brides expect from their contracts from vendors? Like totally shifting gears here. And what should they be asking about in regards to COVID and how to navigate that and making sure that they're not going to be in a stuck place?
Sure. Well, I think when all this first started happening, a lot of people thought, well, I'll just get wedding insurance and that will cover me if I have to reschedule my wedding. And that's not the case. And so, wedding insurance only covers like storms and tornadoes and those kinds of things. They don't cover pandemics. And so the one of the key things is to make sure when you're entering into a contract with any of your vendors, you look at their cancellation and rescheduling policies, and also have the understanding that and know that while you are setting this date at this time and point, that it could easily have to be changed, or you might have to find a new vendor. I mean, vendors get sick too, and they are not invincible. And I've heard some stories about vendors that were exposed at one wedding and then couldn't do the wedding the weekend after. So because of the exposure risk. So just know that I know it's a hard pill to swallow to know that you're setting this date, you're looking forward to your anniversary being that day every year after. But the reality is it might not happen that way. And so just really make sure that you look at the cancellation policies of your vendors that you're getting into contract with. Look at the rescheduling fees. That's been a huge issue with a lot of venues needing to survive and, charging people to reschedule that for a weekend when they had initially had a Saturday date and those types of things. So make sure that you know that if you enter into a contract with them for a Saturday and you want a Saturday, that you can still get a Saturday if you schedule it for 6 months or a year later. And know if you can get any type of refund for how many payments you've made, if they do anything like that, so that you can, if they can't give you your date back, you can book something else, someplace else. or have it at home. So just make sure that you know the details of your contract. Read the fine print before you just sign your name out of excitement.
Speaking of contracts and planning weddings, a question that we had was, what are some things you should be asking about or looking for in a COVID preparedness plan, especially on the venue side?
So in terms of COVID preparedness plans, I know especially with venues, caterers, and event planners, that trifecta is really important in making sure those key people are on the same page, because they're kind of the controllers of the event flow. Mm-hmm. So making sure that you know who's expected to clear dishes, who takes care of trash, because a lot of venues that were once serving food are not. They, you know, especially as this goes on and everything is changing constantly, you may select a venue that provides food and has catering in-house, but they want to cater to you but can no longer serve food once your wedding comes around, and they ask you to bring in a caterer. So then who's expected to clear those dishes? Because the venue is no longer providing the food. So you need to make sure that you know and get everybody on the same page, or your planner needs to get everybody on the same page as to who does what. Mm-hmm. And also who provides masks, who provides extra hand washing stations, who provides hand sanitizer. Will the tables be wiped down in between if guests move from table to table, if they're doing that? Will guests be allowed to move around the room? Some venues don't even are telling their clients that, sure, you can have your event here, but in order to protect ourselves, we are asking that your guests stay seated after the dinner and don't get up and move around unless they absolutely have to. So really making sure that you know whose job is what. And those are things that too, as a host, you should definitely ask your venue to address right away, because while a salesperson can sit there and say, yes, this will be taken care of, we want your business, we will do anything to win you over, and you know, all those things, making sure that you know who is in charge of that day is a huge piece. Mm-hmm. Knowing your banquet manager and who they are, and not just getting yes, you're going to be taken care of. Just knowing exactly who you're going to be dealing with on the day is super important.
For sure. Reason to have a planner, because they know what they need to do, and they've done this so many times, and guess what? You haven't, most likely. So we know COVID's not a fun topic or anything that anyone wants to talk about, but unfortunately it's a conversation we have to have. So thank you, Kat, for talking with us more about COVID and how we can try to navigate this crazy world that we're living in.
Absolutely. And I wish all these brides nothing but the best, and just take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. And there are so many wonderful professionals that are part of this fair and also in Minnesota that are very reputable, know exactly what they're doing, know how to handle these situations. And so really do your diligence about finding the right professionals for you, and really just take a deep breath and just know that everything's going to be okay and your wedding's going to be beautiful. And just try as hard as you can to enjoy this time and planning it and trying to make each piece real special.